Show. This is the Institutional Engagement and Accountability Show, the IXO Show, the Integrated Execution Office Show, guys. We're going to be talking a lot about institutions, guys, today. Most of us don't know what an institution is, and I'm here to talk about it, guys. I'm not here to beg for meetings. I'm here because these institutions need me, guys. They're going to need you. They need us. They need to understand what we are and what we're talking about, guys. But I've sat in the rooms where these institutions discuss things. I know what's missing, and I have built the model to fix that gap, guys, to fix the communication gap, to fix the gap between vision and execution, between the institution and the community, between capital and labor. All right. And it's an execution office that we are doing. I am building the bridge between the community they want credibility with and the execution they can't figure out. All right. That's what we're talking about on this show. We are talking about institutional accountability and where that accountability meets execution. All right. And we're going to be on this show doing some real-time engagement with these institutions, guys. I want you to join us here on the show as we call them directly. We are going to be reaching out, guys. And when I speak of institutions, guys, we have already created our own nonprofit institution, our own nonprofit organization. It's called Bridge to Life Foundation. And we need to institutionalize the help and support that our community needs. Guys, listen, I want you to follow me here on this show because what we're going to be talking about is just a lot of new things that we normally don't discuss in our community. And we need to discuss it, whether it's banking, institutional relationships, institutional stewardship of our community's needs, of our family needs. Guys, I want to have some real-time engagement with you guys. That's what I want you to understand. And why am I talking about institutions? Let me tell you, for 20 years, I worked inside the endowment and foundation investment business. I was an outsourced chief investment officer. I sat in the rooms. I've sat in those offices. I've sat across the tables from major decision makers. I know what gets said and I know what doesn't get said, guys. And today we're going to be calling on those institutions because they don't just manage money. They set the tone for labor, for capital, for you, for your life, for your community, and for America at large. And the question is, are they ready for this conversation? But they don't have to be. We're going to have it right here on this air. All right. And that's what we're going to talk about because the organizations benefit from being in your community. They extract dollars from your community. They are tax exempt, so they are excusing themselves from a already small pool of resources and funds to fund the things that we need so desperately in our communities. But I'll tell you this, in 2010, the outsourced CIO model, the OCIO model was still brand new. I was on the ground floor. I was on the road traveling the country, talking about it, why it worked and why it should be implemented in your institution's structure. At the time, it felt hard. People weren't willing to change. And I remember thinking, will this ever take hold? This is tough work. It's tough work, guys, trying to get an institution to do something different than they've already done, right? That's hard work. But in less than 10 years, the outsourced chief investment officer model became the industry standard. Every institution now recognizing outsourcing capital stewardship is normal, expected, and even necessary. So I want you to know, guys, that's exactly how I feel about the IXO model, guys. This integrated execution office. Institutions don't quite know what to make of it, but just like the OCIO solved the gap in capital management, IXO solves the gap in execution management. It's the natural evolution, guys. So when I say IXO is the future, I don't say that lightly. I've lived this cycle before. I've seen a model go from resisted to required. I know where this is going, guys. And the integrated execution office is going to be the next industry standard. And why is that? Well, guys, when I think about institutions, most people don't know what institutions are, right? Most people don't know what a 501c3 is. Most people don't know what a nonprofit organization even is, what it even means. They just understand that you can't make money. But see, the idea of making money is foreign to what people know making money means, right? Making money means creating more money than there was before, right? Which means that you have to exclude the money that it costs to produce the money that you have and own. And that's usually called profit, right? Or people call it profit, people call it earnings or return. But the fact is that it's creation of value. So a nonprofit organization can still charge money. They still can charge membership fees and dues and things of that nature. Um, the idea is that they're not going to be making profits for a person or even for itself, but it can profit for itself in the way of uh, 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 producing money to continue their mission, right? And that's when you think about it. So, and a 501c3 is a tax classification, IRS classification that allows you to have a tax exemption on not only the money that you spend, but the money that you take in from people. And then they can claim that exemption on their own taxes once you are designated as a 501c3 organization. So, with that said, this is a show where we are going to talk about that disconnect, and part of that conversation is talking about endowments and foundations and what they are and why they exist, and who's on these committees and these boards that these institutions, um, in your community. Who are these people? And it's like we need to know who those people are and why aren't they you, right? Why aren't you on the board of the institution in your community or on the institution where your children are? I don't know. I'm asking the question. Ask these questions. Who is on the board? What is the board? What is a board? And see, that's what we need to start doing and having more discussions around. We march in the streets, but we don't know what a board of trustees is or a board of directors or an operating agreement or an articles of incorporation or bylaws. Guys, we have to educate ourselves on what we're talking about. Um, we can't march in the streets before we know how a corporation is governed and run. What's the difference between governance and running something, right? Or execution? I, again, it sounds like I'm talking over people's heads, but that's why it sounds like that, because we have to educate ourselves on what's going on, right? And what I want to do is connect both of these worlds. And I have the rare ability to do so. I've come from these places, um, these communities, these low income, working class communities, but I've also sat at the table where these institutions discuss big deals, big things, and what's going to happen in our country, in our communities, and at their place of organization. Um, we've been talking a lot about the book, Revaluing America, and why labor is not on the balance sheet. And institutions have a big role in that. We need to rethink how we engage economically with each other. And the other thing too we have to consider with institutions is that they are tax exempt. Now, why do we care that they're tax exempt? Shouldn't we care? We care about wealthy people paying taxes, right? We care about corporations paying taxes, but we seem to not care about nonprofit organizations or what a, purportedly is a nonprofit organization because they don't pay taxes. So the largest and richest endowments in our country don't pay any taxes. They get to buy up property in your community, hold it in perpetuity. What does perpetuity mean? It means forever. It means, when I say forever, I don't know what's longer, forever or perpetuity, because perpetuity actually is longer than forever. Because you know what it means? It means forever and a day. Perpetuity is longer than forever because it means you go forever and then one more day after that. That's what perpetuity is. It's just the next day. You keep going and going. It doesn't stop. It is never intended to ever stop. Okay, that sounds good, but guess what? Can you imagine the compounding effect in perpetuity that they're going to have? How much money these institutions are going to have? Oh my God. You don't understand the power of compounding. Let me tell you, if you don't understand the power of compounding, do that penny test. Remember we used to do the penny test in school? Would you rather have $1 million today or a penny a day and double it for a month? You're going to come out with more money at the end of the month if you double a penny every day, exponentially gaining on that penny. That's what those billions of dollars are about to do in this century. You're going to talk about a $50 billion endowment going to 150. You're going to say, wow, how did that happen? Well, we're watching it. So anyway, guys, we're here to talk about all of it. We're here to talk about things to help you understand what institutions are and how they matter, right? The access gap with institutions. And that's what we're here to talk about and hold them accountable, guys. We're going to be calling them up on this show. Who gets in the room? Who gets to talk to an institution? Who gets the time? And then they have you leave. They discuss amongst themselves. And then they have what's called executive session. All right? They have what's called executive session. So listen, they can get things done. The institution can get things done, and you'll never know who did it. They have executive session to where they can close down the rest of the meeting to even other board members and have a private, still board level discussion, but private. They can either choose to have minutes taken or not and reconvene. Okay, so you have to understand what you're dealing with when you're dealing with an institution, because you're dealing with an entity, a legal entity, a full body of people who are acting in a way that they are not involved with directly at some level, but they are very much involved. And I'm not saying anything nefarious. I'm saying it can be, and it is when you aren't included at the table and you live in the community or you benefit from that institution, or you should. Institutions have massive amounts of money and massive amounts of influence, and we need to understand it, guys, because here's the thing. Here's what I've noticed. If you try to call an institution in your community, it's almost impossible to get through. Who are you supposed to call? You don't know the names of the people on the inside of these institutions or who to ask for, or and without a website, you wouldn't even know where to start. Meanwhile, in other communities, we have to consider this. These same people are at their Thanksgiving dinners, their cookouts, their poker nights, their lodge meetings, other committee meetings, right? On the golf course. If they want to talk to the Franklin Institute, they already know someone on the board. They don't have to guess or get past the gatekeeper. They can just invite that person out to drinks, or they know they're going to see them later on this week for a charity event or golf outing. For us, the best we can do is perhaps talk to the ticket clerk when they are even at the Franklin Institute. You don't have anybody on the inside of that institution. In fact, the people who run that institution likely aren't even there when you're there. And if they are, it's an office building that's all the way on the first, all the way on the top floor. You'll never see the people that actually run the institution. And if you saw them, you wouldn't know who they were. They would just seem like a normal person walking through. The board members don't work there. They work elsewhere. They come and donate their time. It's amazing how insulated institutions are. All right. That's what I want you to understand about this show is power equals access. Right? Institutions operate as if they're community anchors, but most community members can't even reach them. And the DEI initiatives don't fix that structural barrier, guys. This real divide isn't money, it's access. Who do you know? That's what I'm advocating on this show. Who do you know? We're going to see who I know. We're going to prove it. We're going to prove how much we can move the needle with our phone calls, with our advocacy, with our fundraising efforts. We're going to talk about it, all right? Because I want to educate you on what an institution is. Name me one institution. Leave it in the comments, right? We know our educational institutions. The big five is easy to call off, right? Penn, LaSalle, Temple, Villanova, St. Joe's. All right, those are some institutions. Throw in Drexel down there. All right, those are institutions. What other institutions exist? All right, there are tons of them. Tons. When I tell you tons, I want you to start thinking about how much money is involved in what we're talking about. Resources that you don't know about exist out there. And that's why your community isn't getting what they need. Education isn't just a nice to have, it's part of the bridge. If you don't know what an endowment is, you won't ask why Villanova has $1 billion in endowment. 1 billion, 1,000 million, 1.5 billion, really. And their adjunct professors earn poverty wages. If you don't know what a donor advised fund is, you won't realize why so much charitable wealth never reaches your neighborhood. We need to advocate for that. And if you don't know what a foundation is, you won't know why they hold power in politics and education and healthcare, unseen to you. And what we're going to be doing, guys, I want you to follow me here because I consider myself as an interpreter. Not only do we have our own 501c3 organization, a Bridge to Life Foundation, we're going to be contacting institutions not only as a partner, but as a donor. And not only as a partner, but as someone that could hire us as an execution office. We want to build a relationship with an institution, but I need your support. I need your support. Leave it in the comments, guys, if you're watching this show. I need your support so that when we do call the institution up and we do say, hey, have you watched the Don Bird Morning Show? Or are you watching the Institutional Engagement IXO Show? We're watching IXO, right? We call it IXO. We call it something. Let's get together, guys. Let's go, because this is the fan base that we're trying to develop. This is the radio show that is going to gather the fan base so that when we go to the institution and let them know about the IXO show, I like that, right? The IXO show, institutional engagement, IXO, right? We can now say, we got an audience. What's going on? Let's go, right? That's what I want, for the show, and I want for you, because we have to start to understand what institutions mean to us and what they mean to our community. And with my institutional fluency and my community roots, I know how things work and I know what communities need. So that's what I want you to think about as far as being a support to the show. All right. And, the IXO exists to make institutions accountable for access. Who are they dealing with? We should know. And are they dealing with you? And if they're dealing with me and you support this show, then I'm your proxy. At least you could say, oh, I know Don Bird is talking to them and he reports back to us every day. But that's what we need to make sure, that the institutions that are in your community that get the dollars from the government that you pay taxes to and support, all right, that they're getting money on your name and your behalf. You should know them. And that they're not just opening doors for insiders, but ensuring that communities have clear lines into leadership and to decision making. All right. Me, as the IXO, the show, the Integrated Execution Office, we are the bridge that translates between the two worlds, guys. And that's what I want to do here. We're going to be talking about institutions and how they impact our lives on the show. And we're going to start bringing up every day another institution and talk about what they even do, what institutions have an impact on your life. And if you have it, leave it in the comments, guys. Leave it in the comments if an institution has an impact on your life. I want to know how and how you engage with those institutions, guys. I have some family members that are dealing with some addiction issues. And guess what? They need a place to land. They need a place to house, a transitional place to be. They need services. They need care packages. They need mental health support. Who's providing that? That's what we need to really be asking. Who is providing that service to my family members, your family members in the community? We need to do that. All right. And we need to gain access to some of the funds that these institutions are getting to do that. They need to be diverted to the people who are actually getting and doing those services. One of the things that I've been talking about is, again, that's why we're filing for 501c3 status, because a lot of the things that we've done as our nonprofit organization hasn't been recognized because we haven't been structured properly. And that's what I'm here to do, is teach you how to get structured, guys. If you're doing a lot of work for your community and you are not organized as a 501c3, then you need to be thinking about why not. You're leaving a lot of money on the table. You're leaving a lot of opportunity to get money from donors on the table, because a donor would help you with the expenses if they could get the deduction and you were legitimatized and organized and professionalized. You would be able to get more for your dollar. So we got to think about how that works too in the, construct of economics and getting the most for our money, but making sure that we get the most resources that we can to help the people that need it the most. That's what we're talking about on this show, guys. That's what the IXO show is about. We're going to be making some inroads into these institutions. We're going to call them right here live on the air. If they answer, great. If they don't, then we're going to hold them accountable. Why aren't you answering the phone for Don Bird? He called you. He has a lot of things to share. Institutional, the Integrated Execution Office. He has a nonprofit, a Bridge to Life Foundation. He also is written a book, and he's a speaker. He also has a financial firm, Bird Financial Group, can manage your endowment if necessary. What do you need to know? We can work together, guys. Follow me, support the show, because I'm your voice. I am the bridge between you and the institutions in your community, so you can learn how to start to question them, ask them what's going on with you guys here, sitting here in my neighborhood. I want to learn more about you. I want to be on your board. I want to come to your meetings. I want to understand who you're giving your institutional access to. Let us know. Let us understand. And that's why we're doing this show, so we can get some more ideas. But really, the goal is to get the institutions engaged. If we're engaged, then we don't have a problem. We're good. We can go forward. We can move around on that. But I want you to know that that's what we're talking about on this show. We're talking about institutions. We're talking about access. We're talking about the bridge. We're talking about labor and capital, the institution and community, ideas and execution. And I want you to know we're going to be talking about this every day. I enjoy it. I don't know if the show's that fun yet, but we're getting used to it. We're going to keep doing it every day. If you're finding something good in this show, guys, I want you to mash that like button if you can. And, it would make me very happy if you do that, because, look, guys, we are in the mode and we are rolling. I want you to join us today and join us in the embarking on this journey. And I got to let you know that it was a great show today. I look forward to more, and we are going to be signing off very shortly. And I want you to have a great day. Go touch some grass. We are going to be calling institutions directly very, very soon on this show. Lots happening here, guys, and I want you to stay with me.